A long time ago, in the mystic past, the island of Crete was ruled by King Minos. Minos had competed with his brothers to be king after their father's death. Seeking the god's favour, Minos had prayed to Poseidon, god of the sea, to send a sign to show that Minos was favoured by the gods. In answer to Minos' prayers, Poseidon sent a beautiful white bull. With this sign of divine favour, Minos successfully became king. He pledged to sacrifice the magnificent white bull to Poseidon as a sign of gratitude. However, as time grew nearer to the sacrifice, Minos had a change of heart. What a shame, he thought, to lose such a magnificent animal. Instead, Minos thought that he could get one over the gods, and he sacrificed a different bull instead. Alas, how much sorrow would be caused by one man's hubris by thinking that he could outsmart the gods. Minos' deception angered Poseidon. As a punishment, the god inflamed Minos' wife, Pasiphae, with a mad, unnatural passion for the bull. Pasiphae had the famed Athenian inventor, Daedalus, construct a hollow wooden cow for her to help her satisfy her passions. Pasiphae climbed inside the cow and was able to mate with the bull. She conceived, and the unnatural product of her womb was a most horrible beast, for the child had a human body and the head of a bull. The child was named the Minotaur. Minos was horrified by Pasiphae's foul offspring. However, Pasiphae's heart was still filled with a mother's love, and she tried her best to nurse and raise her son. However, the Minotaur grew restless and was not satisfied by his mother's milk. Only human flesh could satisfy his insatiable appetite. King Minos realized this monster could be most useful. He ordered Daedalus and his son Icarus to construct a labyrinth under the royal palace at Knossos, where to keep the monster. Minos plotted to use the Minotaur to enact his revenge on the Athenians. Years earlier, Minos' son Androgeus had travelled to Athens to compete in the Panathenaic Games. Androgeus won most of the competitions, and out of jealousy, the Athenians killed him. In retribution, Minos demanded from the Athenian king Aegean a tribute of 7 maidens and 7 youths every 9 years to act as a human sacrifice. Minos had these unfortunate maidens and youths fed to the Minotaur in the labyrinth. This continued for many years. Then one day, Aegeus' son, Theseus, wishing to free his people from this tyranny, volunteered to go in the place of one of the 7 youths. Before he left, Theseus was told by his father, the king, to sail a white sail when returning, so his father would know that he had succeeded and that his son was still alive. When he arrived at Knossos with the rest of the human tribute, Theseus told King Minos that he was there to kill the Minotaur. Minos laughed and scoffed that if Theseus did indeed slay the Minotaur, then he and the others could return home, and Athens would be freed of its human tributes. Theseus and the others were thrown in the dungeons to await being thrown to the Minotaur the next day. However, love intervened. 2 of King Minos' daughters, Ariadne and Phaedra, had fallen in love with Theseus the moment they had laid eyes on him. Ariadne, the elder of the 2, slipped down to the dungeon that Theseus was being held in that night. She brought with her her sword and a ball of yarn. Ariadne freed Theseus and led him to the labyrinth where the Minotaur was imprisoned. She handed the sword to Theseus and also gave him one end of the ball of yarn. Ariadne told Theseus that she would hold the other end of the ball of yarn at the entrance of the labyrinth. That way, after he slew the Minotaur, Theseus could follow the yarn back to the entrance of the labyrinth and escape. Theseus boldly entered the labyrinth. He soon was able to find the Minotaur by listening to the beast's heavy breathing. Theseus found the Minotaur sleeping. He quickly slew the beast by plunging his sword deep into the creature's neck. Following the yarn back to Ariadne, Theseus escaped from the labyrinth. Still under the cover of night, Theseus and Ariadne freed the other Athenians. Then, with Phaedra also in tow, they rushed to the Athenian ship and set sail home. As she had been the one to help Theseus slay the Minotaur, Ariadne believed that she would become his wife. However, Theseus only had eyes for Ariadne's beautiful younger sister, Phaedra, and he soon plotted ways to rid himself of Ariadne. On their way back to Athens, the Athenians stopped on the island of Naxos. Ariadne, happy to be on dry land again, fell asleep on the beach. Theseus, seeing his chance, ordered the others back onto the ship and abandoned Ariadne sleeping on the beach. Theseus was excited at the prospect of marrying Phaedra, and also at the thought of the praise that he would receive at home for slaying the Minotaur. He was so excited, in fact, that he quite forgot his father's instructions to fly white sails when returning home. When Aegean saw the ship making port, and saw black sails flying instead of white ones, he was overcome with grief, and threw himself into the sea, and perished. So when Theseus arrived in Athens, he found that he had not only gained a wife, but also a kingdom, but he had lost his father. In memory of the tragic death of King Aegeus, the sea in which he drowned was named after him, and is still known to this day as the Aegean Sea.